Season 1 of the travesty known as The Lord of the Rings of Power, is finally over, and the season finale that came out last night was a complete and total disaster. But I guess that matches the rest of this series, which has been a catastrophic failure. $1 billion for Amazon to insert their own identity politics, to change the lore, and to spit all over the legacy of J.R.R. Tolkien. And this is exactly what we said was going to happen. From the very beginning, we told you, we warned you, and it all came to fruition. It is sad and it is pathetic, but it is absolutely the truth. And from the beginning, the fans and the audience have rejected this series in large part. We know that the score on Rotten Tomatoes has been stuck at 38 or right around there for quite some time, but I mean, you can't even leave bad reviews on Amazon's own website or on Amazon's own IMDb. So it's tough to get a really good gauge because they've tried so desperately to control the narrative. But as we said from the beginning, what was going to happen in this series? Of course, Halbrand was Sauron, and that Galadriel and Sauron were going to have a little romance, that Galadriel and Sauron, that people are going to be shipping them because that's the type of people who are making this garbage show. That's what they wanted. That's the audience they're after. These shippers, these nameless, faceless weirdos with pronouns in their bios. That's the target audience for Rings of Power, and as a result, it's been a complete disaster. Halbrand was indeed Sauron, as I've said in maybe 40 videos on this channel. It's not like it's a secret. It shouldn't have been a shock to anybody except low IQ idiots out there. But again, that is the target demographic for this show, so maybe they were just so surprised that he was Sauron. And of course, he wanted Galadriel to be his queen. And when Galadriel rejected him, the incel rage that Sauron has is what's going to cause him to take over Middle-earth. Shocking. Who could have predicted that except for all of us? It's what we've been saying this entire fucking time. And even though, you know, Forbes isn't necessarily known for having takes that I agree with all the time, Eric Kane has been roasting this show for good reason, and he sums it up pretty well. The Rings of Power Season 1 finale recap and review. A dreadful mess. And that is exactly what it was. But we may as well start with that opener like I talked about. The reveal that Halbrand, oh my gosh, who could have imagined that this would be the case? Who could have imagined the guy whose second line in the show was something like, things aren't always as they appear, or appearances can be deceiving, something like that. Oh, crazy to think that he was Sauron. But of course, here he is at Mordor at the end of the episode. Thank you, Quarter Black Garrett, for that. And yes, from the beginning, as in Gary from Nerdrotic, we're told a lot of things about this series. Every single episode, what the breakdown would be. Turns out their actual sources were completely 100% right. Everything they said happened. But it wasn't just Halbrand. It wasn't just Halbrand and Galadriel, of him trying to get her to be his queen. They see themselves in the reflection, Sauron and Galadriel. And then when that didn't work, they got so mad they started screaming at each other, and this will probably just be thumbnail gold. Galadriel's face usually does pretty well. Maybe we'll put this in the thumbnail. We'll have to see by the end of this video. But it is a fucking joke. It is laughable that this is what they try to do. Galadriel, who has a husband, right, gets romantically interested in Halbrand. That's what they were doing. They were flirting. They were setting this up between them. Of course, then we had to throw in a line about her husband being dead, which he absolutely is not. This show is a fucking travesty when it comes to the desecration of the lore of Middle-earth. But that's not it. What about Gandalf? We said from the beginning that this person, this stranger, was going to be a wizard. Would it be Gandalf? That's the question. Well, as My Nerdy Home puts out here, no way, the show is a joke. What do they have the stranger do? Always follow your nose. It's weird, isn't it? It's weird because they don't have the rights to use Gandalf. They're not allowed to use Gandalf right here in this time frame. Are you fucking kidding me? But they don't care. They're going to do whatever they want. And J.R.R. Tolkien can roll over in his grave, but Amazon does not care. Funny, isn't it, that they've tried so hard to tell everybody this isn't in line with the Peter Jackson movies. This has nothing to do with the Peter Jackson movies, yet they continue to use imagery and dialogue and lines that became very well known from those movies, whether they were derived straight from the book or changed a little bit from the book or not. They're trying to make you feel that because it's the only way they can actually get anybody hooked by a little bit of nostalgia for something that they know you do love. And isn't it funny, again, that the very people who call themselves Tolkien scholars that are supposed to be out there protecting and defending the lore, calling out people like Amazon, but instead they sold out. They sold out to get access. They sold out so that they could go out there and that they could go to the premieres, that they could be with hanging out with Amazon and the showrunners, all those things. People like the Tolkien professor who's been defending this show since the beginning. What did he say? What did he say a few weeks ago? Top 3 things I hope are not true in Rings of Power. 1. Durin's Bane emerges during the show. We saw that in episode 7, didn't we? 2. Halbrand is Sauron. We've been telling you for a long time that that's the case. I'm sorry that you were too blind or ignorant, or maybe you were just shilling so hard that you couldn't figure that out. 3. The stranger is Gandalf. None will be deal breakers for me, but I'll be disappointed. You know what? You probably won't even mention how disappointed you are because you don't want to disappoint your masters, your Amazon masters. I'm sure that that'll be the case. And you even have here's Jane Theory reacting to Gary's tweet. Of course, it was Guy Ladriel's idea to make 3 elven rings. Tolkien is spinning in his grave. The entire point of this series, apparently, is to make Galadriel the center point for everything that's ever happened in the Second Age. Everything was because of Galadriel. Of course, all the bad things were her too, but she was at the middle of everything, which we know just wasn't the case. The showrunner said, well, if they never said that Galadriel didn't do this, then we're allowed to do it. These people are disgusting. They have been lying from the very beginning about all of this, but it didn't work. The fans didn't buy it. And so what is Amazon forced to do? Amazon's forced to resort to dirty tricks in order to try to boost their numbers. Amazon is attempting to double Rings of Power views. Reports from Shadbrook's stream is confirming Prime Video added a pop-up ad that forces the viewer to leave the show, requiring viewers re-click the show, possibly doubling the view count per viewer. Let me know if you experienced this. And everybody, all these responses, except for the people that didn't actually watch it, they're all saying, yeah, it happened to me too. Because they want to tell people, an astronomical amount of people watch this without providing any actual context. This is a disaster for Amazon. Why have they had to do this? Why have they had to do all these things? Because this show is a disappointment for them. The highest budget of any show we've ever seen in history. And what do we have? The most recent Nielsen ratings from about 4 weeks ago, because they're delayed by about a month. Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, now effectively tie with House of the Dragon streaming numbers. And Rings of Power numbers down every single week. Why is this a big deal that it's tied with them? You could say, oh, well, they're just ahead of them. That's pretty good, right? House of the Dragon also airs on HBO Max. It also airs linearly. So they have millions of people, whether it's on DVR, whether it's on demand, or whether it's watching at 9 o'clock Eastern on Sunday. About 20 to 30% of their audience is watching there. So they're blowing the show out of the water, but that's with a $200 million budget, not a $500 million budget or $700 when you include actual purchasing the rights. This is embarrassing for Amazon. This is embarrassing for Rings of Power, but this is exactly what we've seen the entire time. This show is garbage. It started out garbage, the promotion's been garbage, and it ended in a garbage way. But it's everything that we've said it was from the very fucking beginning. Amazon has been lying to people. They've paid off people. They've brought different channels in. Hey, just shill for this, and we'll bring you to this event. Do you want to promote this for us? We'll pay you to promote it, but you can't say anything bad about it. You can't be honest about it. A lot of people more than willing to sell their soul for a little bit of access. But unfortunately, Lord of the Rings fans are the people that are really the ones that get hurt in this, because this show is garbage and it spits on the face of Tolkien and his legacy. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching, everyone. And a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.